I formed the most valuable company in the world, a company with highest profit. Yet, I was never the richest man in the world. You talk about richest man. I was never a billionaire. Wait, you guys are getting rich?
Bill Gates was the richest person in the world for a long time thanks to his shares in Microsoft, the company he built. Jeff Bezos is ruling the list because of his share in Amazon. Bernard Arnold occasionally tops the list because of LVMH. We have made a video on his journey from engineer to world's richest person. Do check, link is in the description. But none of the founders of Apple was declared the richest man alive ever. Contrary to popular belief, there are three founders of Apple: Jobs, Steve Wozniak, and Ronald Wayne. These guys are the founders of Apple, the most valuable company in the world. Yet none of them was ever the richest person in the world. Not just the richest person in the world, they never featured in the top 10 richest person in the world. Among them, one of them was not even a millionaire. Another one was a millionaire but never became a billionaire. And the third one became a billionaire, never topped the list or even came in top 10. Welcome to the Billionaire, a channel where we talk about the people you know but the stories you don't. Today we are going to know how the founders of most successful technological company were not able to become as successful financially as they should have become. Let's get started. This is Ronald Wayne, not so famous founder of Apple. It was 1976. Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak were discussing the design and the future of the industry. Wayne helped them settle the discussion. It is where Steve Jobs proposed him founding of a company led by him and Wozniak. The three decided that both Jobs and Wozniak would have 45% each and Wayne would have 10% and act as a tiebreaker if ever Jobs and Wozniak would get into similar discussion. Wayne wrote a partnership agreement and the three founded Apple Computers on April 1st, 1976. Wayne illustrated the first Apple logo and wrote Apple One manual. Wayne's approach to business was not high risk, high reward. He was quite opposite. He was risk averse. He was okay with profit being low, but not with risk being high. I guess he was made for investment. 5 years before, he was in the slot machine business. The business went downhill, and Wayne had to spend 1 year working just to repay the debt. Apple got its first order. The order was from the Byte Shop, a company that was notoriously famous for slow paying its vendor. Jobs secured a $15,000 line of credit to buy product materials for the order. This got Wayne even more stressed. Jobs and Wozniak were just in their 20s, but Wayne in his 40s. Legally, all the members of partnership are personally responsible for any debts incurred by any partner. Jobs and Wozniak didn't have any property that could be seized, but Wayne had.
To rub together. I, on the other hand, had a house and a car and a bank account, which meant that I was on the hook if that thing blew up.
12 days after Wayne wrote the document that formally created Apple, he returned to the registrar's office and renounced his role in the company, therefore relinquishing his equity in exchange for US $800 on April 12, 1976. He is today worth $450,000. After Ronald left, Jobs took the share of Wayne and also some shares of Wozniak. Jobs had 65.4% shares, while Wozniak had 34.6%. At the time of IPO, Jobs held around 15% of stocks of Apple, whereas Wozniak held about 7.9, making him the third highest shareholder of the company. At the time of IPO, Steve Jobs refused to give stock options to his early employees. Then came Wozniak. He gave them $10 million of his shares he had. Now he owned 7.1% of shares of Apple. In 1981, Wozniak suffered a tragic airplane crash that left him with severe face and head injuries. He didn't come back to Apple for 2 years. He was back in 1983 to help in product development. By the time, Jobs had taken up a Macintosh project and implemented some of his signature touches, some of which that never made sense to Wozniak, like needing a special screwdriver to open the plastic case. By 1985, when the Macintosh was released, Apple II still accounted for 85% of Apple sales. Despite this, Apple II team was never mentioned in meetings and events. So, in 1985, he left Apple, sold all his shares, stating Apple was preventing him from being the person he wanted to be. He got around $70 to $80 million for the share that he holds in Apple. After leaving Apple, he developed CL9, which is the first universal remote control that is programmable. He is also involved with the development of a wireless GPS technology company called Wheels of Zeus and a flash memory technology company called Fusion IO and a few other related tech organizations. Along with it, he was involved in a lot of philanthropic activities, which did decrease his net worth. Talking of philanthropy, if you want to know the top 10 highest donors of last century, then we have made a video on it. The link is in the description. No, Bill and Melinda Gates aren't top ranked, but second, and the person who topped the list never was declared a billionaire. During Apple's IPO on December 12, 1980, Steve Jobs held 15% shares of Apple, but Steve kept on selling those shares. And 5 years after his IPO, he had only 11%. However, things didn't go well forever. April 11, 1983, John Sculley joins Apple as its CEO. Jobs was the one who asked Sculley to join Apple, but it turned out to be a tormenting experience for him. If you want to know why Jobs was fired from Apple, then type Sculley in the comment section. These two men had different visions for the company, and in the spring of 1985, board sided with Sculley. Jobs was removed from his positions. Jobs sold all of his stake in Apple except one, so that he could receive the company's annual report. He got a lucrative $130 million from this. With this money, Steve founded another company that he named Next. This was a relatively successful company as compared to Apple at that time. Along with it, he founded Pixar, an animation company that created one of the most popular animated films in the world, such as Toy Story, Finding Nemo, Cars, A Bug's Life, and many more. In 2004, Disney decided to buy Pixar in all stock transactions worth $7.4 billion. The deal paid Jobs $4.3 billion of Disney stock, making him the largest shareholder in Disney. On the other side, after the resignation of Jobs, Apple started crippling and went into a long-lasting crisis. Apple changed its CEO time and again in the hope of revival, but nothing was going on their way. After Sculley, Michael Splinter was the CEO from 1993 to 1996, and Gil Amelio 1996 to 1997. Apple didn't have any choice except to bring back Jobs. On February 9, 1997, they bought Next for $427 million. Jobs joined Apple as the interim CEO and then the CEO. Jobs was also granted 1.5 million shares, but he quickly sold them. Under Jobs' leadership, the company's shares price went from under $1 to over $60 despite the stock split. During his death, he was valued at $10 billion. but it was mostly due to his shares in Disney. If you have watched the video till now, do like the video. I'm sure it shall bring a smile to your face. And if you like what we are doing, press the subscribe button. Thanks for watching.